Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. It is time to get each and every single one of you guys caught up to speed with what's currently going on with AMC Stock. And voila, you got some new 13F filings that are coming out. Now, why are 13F filings a big deal? Well, it gives you a breakdown from all different kinds of banks and financial firms of their positioning in certain stocks. And you're getting this specific filing that I think is very interesting, especially with what's going on in the banking sector as of recently. Bank of America now has a 10.5 million share position in calls on AMC, and they increased that position by 340% in the last 3 months. And I should point that out, 13F filings come out quarterly. So 4 times a year do you get an update from different firms on their positioning in AMC. So we're going to look at some of the most interesting 13F filings here in this video with AMC Stock. We're also, like I said, going to give you guys a breakdown of where we are at currently with AMC, go over all the data, all the numbers, all of that fun stuff that you guys need to know. So hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. Source your comments, questions, or concerns down below in the comment section. If you guys also want to come trade with me live in real time, link down below in the description of this video as well. So let's go ahead and dive into it. First things first, with the Ortex data. That's usually where we like to start because this is kind of your short squeeze information, right? And if we look at an overview with AMC, the short score is 88.44. This continues to go higher. And what this is kind of how prone AMC is to a short squeeze over the next coming months. And the higher this number, the better. And this number takes into consideration cost to borrow fees, obviously short interest, free float out and loan, days to cover, a plethora of different individual data points to come up with this number. And this is going higher on a week by week basis. And once you really get to the levels that we're at right now, it's only a matter of time. Right. And keep in mind, this is not financial advice. AMC could go to 0 tomorrow. AMC could go to 100 tomorrow. So it's very much an uncertain kind of thing. Excuse me. But it looks better than not right now. And that's kind of why I find it so ironic and funny, I guess you could say, that a lot of people have left this community only as the prospects and the data behind a short squeeze have gotten better and better over time. Now, let's get into some of the numbers here. So the dollar amount currently estimated to be sold short in AMC is $684 million. The short interest of free float at about 24.8%, so call it about 25%. Free float out on loan at 31.9%. Shares out on loan 165 million. Days to cover at about 5. Cost to borrow at 177.9% for the last 3 months average, and 100% share utilization. Now, days to cover, that's one that went up the most last week. The 7-day change was the most on days to cover. Now, what this is telling you is volume has been lower. The lower volume is, the higher days to cover will be, because days to cover is a pretty simple calculation of using volume to find out how long it would take for shorts to cover on their whole short position. And the higher days to cover gets is showing you that volume has been low and that it's not going to take a big volume increase to get a short squeeze. If days to cover is 5, like it is now, or higher, you're more likely to squeeze than if days to cover is half, right? Or like 0.5 or 0.25 or 1. That means there's a lot of volume, there's a lot of liquidity for shorts to cover on their short positions if they wanted to. So that is a very encouraging sign that we are seeing right now, as well as You guessed it, the cost to borrow rates. Cost to borrow average currently 204.2%, cost to borrow max 356.8%, and cost to borrow minimum at 115.35%. So the cost to borrow fees continue to stay at this level that, dude, the pain that hedge funds are feeling simply due to cost to borrow fees is insane. It's out of this world right now. And I would definitely not want to be short on AMC with a 10-foot pole. So there you have some of the breakdowns of the actual Ortex data here. Now, let me tell you right now, let me be the first to tell you, days to cover is going higher because volume has been lower. But what is really causing AMC to fall so much as of recently? And we haven't fallen that much, kind of in the overall trend that we have been seeing. And we held above key levels, which I want to talk about once we get to the charts, which is bullish. But it's the option activity, guys. So when hedge funds, they go out and they're targeting the $10 put for these expirations. The $10 put is deep in the money. The break evens on these contracts is very low. So what that's doing is every time they go out and buy these $10 puts, market makers basically have to go out instantly and short stock, right? It's like a reverse gamma squeeze, because a gamma squeeze is obviously people going out and buying calls, right? Forces market makers to go out and buy stock. It's pretty self-explanatory. A lot of people understand that part. Well, it works the same way to the downside when hedge funds and a lot of people go out and buy puts on the market or buy puts on AMC specifically. What we've seen over the last week, it does put a lot of downside pressure and a lot of short interest on AMC, right? And that's what has pushed the stock down, especially as volume has went lower. These oversized put positions are having a much bigger impact on AMC than they otherwise would have. And we broke down the actual option trades that have, been the biggest in the last video, but just some notable ones. A July 21st, $3.1 million put position. You guessed it, at the $10 put. $500,000 put trade at the $10 put as well. A $1.23 million, you guessed it, $10 put. A $4.6 million $10 put. And a lot of these are like $500,000, right? A $2 million 13 strike put. A $1.66 million $10 put. You guys hopefully are seeing what I'm saying here. Another $4 million trade at the $13 put. Another $3.1 million trade at, you guessed it, the $10 put. So we actually broke down the numbers here of what we seen on Friday. It was about 4 million shares that had to be shorted by the market makers. And if you look at AMC's actual volume, right? Let's go ahead and pull this up. AMC's volume on Friday was about 13.4 million. So that means roughly 35% of the whole volume of Friday was market makers shorting stock. So that just puts it into perspective how, or why really the stock has been falling. It's because all of these short positions. Now it works to the positive for us when the stock does start to make a move higher, because then market makers, they can go out and buy some of those shorts back and give you more or less an upside move or a bigger upside move. It does contribute bullishly when you do get, a rally in the stock. So there you have that. Now, on a technical basis, the 50-day moving average is at $5.15 per share. AMC stock closed at $5.18 per share. That is very positive. Now, AMC did close slightly under the 100-day moving average, which currently sits at $5.21 per share. So you are really in this range here. Just a couple cent range is going to have some big implications for AMC stock. The 50-day moving average served as support on Friday. The 100-day moving average served as a little bit of resistance on Friday, and they're only a couple cents off of each other. So if you get a bounce from here and you can make that upside move, that's going to be a very positive thing. If you break under that 50-day moving average, well, you might have a little bit more dip to go before the dip is over. Now, it's been a pretty aggressive downside move here, so I would expect a bounce relatively soon, and that's wouldn't surprise me right in this next upcoming week. But also keep in mind, none of this matters until we get the next court date or the next court update. That's what is really going to move AMC stock. And let me just tell you right now too, with these trades that these hedge funds are putting on, they're trying to suppress AMC. They're trying to push the stock down. These trades that are so deep in the money, these aren't trades these hedge funds are hoping for like 1,000x, right? Or you know, a couple 100%. These are low conviction trades. These are trades that they want cushion on if AMC stock were to rally higher. They're deep in the money. Like for these to expire worthless, AMC would have to close above $10 by these expirations. Is that going to happen? Well, it's a pretty good possibility, but the probability is kind of low based off of, you know, where we currently sit now with this big court date right around the corner. So long story short, if you were seeing like $2-3, you know, strikes being purchased, that would be a little bit more concerning. You're seeing $10 and $13 puts being bought. I'm not hugely concerned with that. That looks like, you know, hedge funds just want to suppress the price of AMC more or less. So there you have that. Little bit of a technical breakdown for you guys as well. Now, also, I do want to say before we get off the charts, AMC stock, even though you have fallen the last couple of days, still in a bullish upside trajectory. If we go ahead and actually just chart it out for us, right? Pretty clear. You're still hitting higher lows, and that is bullish. You really have to break under, you know, $4.90 per share before you start to set a lower low and get more or less into a bearish technical picture for AMC. So there you have that. Let's look at some of these filings as well that I do want to pull up. But before we do that, I want to talk about this briefly. It says AMC Entertainment stock rises after report Amazon is mulling buyout of movie theater operator. Now, this was news a while ago, but you actually just got a new article on this 21 hours ago. So I find that kind of interesting. And AMC stock, I should also mention, is up still about 28% for 2023. That is, again, with the cost of borrow fees being the way that they are and the extreme levels that they are at, is putting a lot of pressure on the shorts, and it wouldn't surprise me to see them get squeezed out of their short positions relatively quickly if AMC stock did make that upside move. Now, we talked about the 13F filings as well in some of the last videos, so if you guys want a bigger breakdown, definitely go ahead and check that out. But the most notable one that I am seeing that is coming out, that came out on May 12th, so just yesterday, and it looks like after markets closed, these came out, or a majority of them came out, is this one, Bank of America. So Bank of America, their put position controls about 650,000 shares. They increased this 183.5% over the last 3 months. Bank of America's share position sits at about 1.35 million shares. They increased this 875%. Bank of America's call position controls about 10.5 million shares of AMC. They increased that by 339.56%, basically 340%. You see which direction this is leaning. Pretty bullish moves, right? Their call position is almost 20 times larger than their put position. Makes you wonder a little bit, right? Some pretty big changes you're seeing as well. 875%, 340%. That's a pretty solid sign that maybe we have some good news to come. Bank of America tends to know everyone and tends to know things before the general populace does. So that is a very interesting one that I am seeing. Now, really what I'm waiting for is Citadel. I want a new filing from Citadel. Their last filing was February 14th, and they still have not put out their 13F filings, where most institutions already have. So I think that's going to be a pretty big one. Some notable ones, right, we looked at in the last video, but you're seeing some banks actually putting on some very large trades on AMC and increasing their bullish stance on AMC pretty significantly over the last couple of months, guys. So that is going to do it here in this video. And even here you could see Intera Capital. That's a funny one. Now just bought a call position on AMC, controlling about 1 million shares. So they're not as clear-cut bullish as you would think that this arbitrage trade is going to play out perfectly. They're putting on some hedges here and some pretty big ones at that, guys. So that is going to do it here in this video. Hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Source your comments, questions, or concerns down below in the comment section. Nonetheless, you guys have a great rest of your day, and I will see you in the next one.